Hello, my name is Mae Whittick. Welcome to Her Conversations, Tools for the Awakening Woman. Her is an acronym for Higher Energetic Resonance. This is the optimal state to embody in order to attract our highest desires. Who is the awakening woman? She's a woman who's seeking a greater possibility in her reality and looking for solutions. She knows being awakened is not a lofty ideal but a necessity. If she can transform herself, she can change the world. Her conversations will introduce you to talented women who speak to your spirituality, sensuality, and soul. They share their stories and explain how they are in service to the world. So let their words and these conversations embolden and inspire you. This week is another solo episode from me. I know it's been quite recent since the last one, but I just felt really called to make this reflection on the situation that we are experiencing across the world. The date that I'm recording this is Tuesday, 31st of March 2020. And right now we are all under stay-at-home orders pretty much everywhere on the planet. We've been given very strict instructions as to how to maneuver our lives, and we are told that we can leave the house once a day. The majority of places of work, of public gathering, any non-essential retail spaces, restaurants, all of these things are closed, and it's forced us, no matter what your role was in society, however you were contributing, most of us are at home and waiting for the signal from our prospective governments and officials to say that the peak of the danger of us being infected by the coronavirus has subsided and it's safe for us to resume our normal lives. And I just wanted to make this episode one to kind of so that I can look back in the future, because I believe there will be a future, and really and just have a record, like an audible record of where my mind was and what's happening, and what I feel that I can contribute to what's happening to us right now, and also what my thoughts are of what's going to happen on the other side. Right now we don't know, and I think it's that not knowing that is making many people nervous, making the majority of people nervous. Those who are used to a routine of expecting a certain amount of money to come in, or being a job that, you know, all of these things that we built our personality on is have rolled back and revealed ourselves to them, and you know, this phrase just keeps coming up to me, is when the tide goes out we see who's swimming naked. And initially when that was presented to me, I was thinking very much of, yeah, you know, if you're not set up in a way that you can sustain not having any flow of income for anything longer than a month or 2 months or 3 months, then there's potentially going to be problems. Depending on where you are in the planet is depending on what it looks like is going to be available to you. Also depending on your work status, be whether you're an employee or self-employed or a business owner even. So initially, I think that's where most people's mind will go, and understandably so. If we're not able to work, if we're not able to make a trade of our skills and our time for an income, and we're being forced to stay at home, how long are we going to be able to hold on to those homes if those homes are not, we have a mortgage on them, or we have rental payments which are ongoing expenses? How are we going to move forward if the flow is not continuing? So initially that is, you know, a concern for everyone, because very few people want to be without a home, and it's a difficult situation to be without a home. And I'm talking from experience, but that's for another podcast. But what I'm really talking about here is just thinking about, now that I'm personally in a position where there is nothing that I can do outside in the world, I'm being able to sit down and really confront what is coming up for me on so many different levels. I mean, you can imagine, in the time that we are in right now, the information age, we're all connecting gladly by the internet, so email, various different kind of online FaceTime or video conferencing calls, just to kind of keep ourselves connected. And also, if we live with people, we have people close by, then we can connect with them as best we can. Obviously, we have to maintain social distancing, and so many thoughts have swirled around my mind as to what is this going to mean on the other side when things go back to normal. And I know I keep saying things going back to normal, but my first point is, I don't think things can ever really go back to whatever we considered normal to be. There's been a real kind of jolt to the system, and for many people, this might be the first time that they've experienced something like a major trauma, which it is a major trauma in our systems. And how are we going to move forward with this as well when we do come back into society and start to place ourselves in society, whatever that's going to look like in the future? There's going to be, are we, how are we going to heal? And initially I was going to say, how is our government going to heal? Because, we're always looking outside of ourselves for something or someone to cover over the wounds and the band-aids. But what this quarantine has given us is the opportunity, whether we like it or not, to actually face the shadows within ourselves. I'm not the best person to speak on this in terms of expertise, but over the past few years, there has been a revealing of the shadow side of society, of shadow practices, of shadow people, of shadow abuses and crimes. And as that has played out outside, now that we are in ourselves confined, in a way, in our own homes, after a while of sitting down and watching all the films and eating all the foods, when we go into week 2 or week 3, part of us is going to want to have some sort of semblance of meaning out of what we're doing. We're going to start to question what it is that this can be for us in terms of actually seeing what the gift is, because there always is a gift in every experience. And I've seen I've seen that play out in many different ways in different people. Firstly, what I've noticed in my own self is I feel a sense of preparedness for this. And not that I was prepared to kind of not have an immediate income or be stuck in one place, but life has, moved me around a lot emotionally, and what I haven't appreciated up until now is how it's made me resilient and able to be in the midst of traumatic situations and still be able to hold myself together. And I see how that is then creating a stability around others around me, especially when I am aware that for some people this is the most frightening thing. And also a lot of the terminology that people are using around this as well. And it happens a lot when something happens, a word or a phrase will get kind of taken on board, and so often I hear people saying these are crazy times, these are scary times, these are uncertain times, and all of those things are true. But we all know the power of our words, and if we're constantly referring to our day-to-day existence as scary, uncertain, uh, scary, uncertain. I can't remember what the other word was, but if those are the words that we use about our present time, then this is what we'll create, and this is how we'll feel on a day-to-day basis. Um, we're being given up an opportunity to find our self sovereignty right now, um, in terms of what we do with our day, without anybody really policing what we do, short of when we step out of the door and having to maintain distance from other people and only make essential trips each day or one trip for exercise. Um, Now that we're at home and we have to do with our time exactly as we choose to do with it, what are we doing? Are we just falling into our fears and our projections of what we think the future is going to be? Right now we don't have any control of that. We don't know what it's going to turn out like. It could be the greatest thing on earth. It could potentially not be, and it depends, where you're getting your information from. Because as you imagine, in this information age, there's a lot going out there, that there's so many potentials, and these are all potentials. I've read and listened to and seen all the things that people have sent to me, so I understand the potentials, and some of them are glorious and some of them ain't so. And we will just see which way it plays out. But I can't allow myself to really get drawn left or right into anything. It's just to maintain a stance of a neutral stance, but not in a non-caring way, but to be with myself and to be in myself. And I see that position of being in and with oneself is what is causing a lot of unrest and discomfort for many people, because being out in social situations and being distracted by all the things that happen in the world, or the work, or whatever it may be, when those are not available to you, then all of your personal shadows are going to come up, all of your personal fears are going to come up. This is an opportunity for us to use the time, I believe, to clean from within, to cleanse from within, because I feel there's been some sort of cleansing happening in the world. There's always a talk of the change of ages, and this period in time being super auspicious and particularly special in terms of there being a shift and a shift in consciousness. Something like this is happening, and whether it kind of rolls out into the mass of society outside of the spiritual and the thinkers remains to be seen, really. What I do recognize is that many people are maybe asking questions of what they are being presented to, with regards to whether everything that they're being told and seen is factual. And that in itself, is a good thing, because I think we need to exercise a lot more discernment right now in this point in time, with regards to us just taking on board everything that we're being told. Because there are always slants and agendas, and someone will always benefit from you believing one thing or the other, and the truth is in there somewhere. So that's what I'm thinking. Another thing that I'm feeling just some concern over, or just wondering how, when we do go back into our new society, is for the people who are, when I notice when I go out, very nervous around the respect of the social distancing, and they've got the masks on and the gloves on, and these are the things that they've been directed to do. But you can see within some people this is a really frightening thing. And I wonder, particularly if they don't have any particular practice of how to process traumas. You know, when you go through something, are you talking to somebody, how they are going to be able to draw a line past the pandemic stage of time when there is no danger and we can walk and be amongst each other and be safe in our health. Um, and the biggest fear is, I think the biggest fear for most people is that they're going to die. And I heard something really interesting this morning, and it was about meditating on your death, which might sound like the most awful thing to do, but if you meditate on your death and think, okay, if I'm in the last couple of moments in my life now, how am I going to feel about that? Am I going to be scared? You know, obviously I'm going to miss a lot of people, a lot of experiences of being physical. I personally don't have a fear of death. I don't like pain. I don't want to kind of have any drawn out length of suffering. But at the point of death, from what I understand death could be, that is not what I fear. I would be disappointed if I died sooner than I wanted to. And that's really down to me thinking about, if I'm meditating on my death, I'm just thinking, have I achieved all that I knew that was possible for me to achieve? And that gives me solace, and that gives me inspiration and drive to actually do the things now. And that's what I'm thinking of, because everyone's scared of getting the virus and getting sick and dying, but we just don't want to prematurely leave the opportunity that we have on planet Earth in order to be better and do something and contribute. And in listening to many different spiritual perspectives, many different what people would call alternative news or conspiracy perspectives, the thing that comes over the most is how humanity is going to change, has to change in order to come out of this. We have to be a bit more caring, and I think it's coming out already in the way that our lives are being, funneled down into the most simple things. For me, it's, just getting up and connecting with a group that I have, a friend of mine, Tisha Braid, who has been on a previous episode of the podcast before, and holds every weekday morning at 9 a.m. So there's usually like anything from like 3 to 5, 6 of us on there, just talking about what we're doing, how we're being productive. Most of us are self-employed, so we have to work out what it is that we're going to do in order to keep our minds active, in order to maybe serve and offer opportunities and help to other people, and also to provide support and to bounce off each other as well. And that's really useful. So for me, that connection in the morning, one, it's allowing me to have a pinpoint of focus to start the day, because it would be very easy, and I can see how for some, well, I'm not going anywhere, why should I get up? And then also to get really creative with cooking, and so being creative is another way that's helping me. Meditation is something that has always fascinated me as well. If you're hearing external sounds, I'm recording this inside, so you're going to hear the street, you're going to hear birds and doors and everything like that, so bear with me there. But yeah, back to meditation. I was inspired to re-release a meditation that was in the Her Life Academy, which is on pause at the moment. And it's a meditation about expansion, because most of us at this point in time will be feeling very confined to our physical spaces, and in that time we'll shrink down into just kind of like very focused thinking, and unfortunately sometimes we'll start to kind of ruminate over the worst possible case. This expansion meditation is a guided meditation, and it's about just freeing yourself from the physical body, freeing yourself from the confines of your room, of your road, of your country, of the planet, to just feel how vast you really are and just feel that greater space. And just consider the things that feel so real when you feel confined. How do they feel when you've rolled out into this greater expanse of space? And that's something that you can find for free on my website. So if you go to carolmaewhittick.com, that's CarolMaewhittick. I've smacked it there on the homepage, so you don't have to fumble around any links. There's a link to a YouTube video, so you can just watch it there, or there's an audio that you can play on the front page, and you can also download the audio so that you can listen to. I'm not asking for any emails or anything like that. I'm not making it super complicated. Listen to it, download it, use it, and I hope it helps you. I just want to see what this makes of us all. I really want to believe that this is the opportunity for us to move into some sort of awakening. There was a piece that I was listening to before, and the way that she was speaking, I was realizing that part of what I've considered to be delays or frustrations or problems that have got in the way have actually kind of galvanized and prepared me for a time such as this. And her conversation's byline is Tools for the Awakening Woman, and I believe that we are all awakening at this time. And like I said, it's going to be so interesting to see what the future looks like. We're so much is being asked of us that we probably don't even realize, but we feel. This is happening just as spring has sprung in the UK, and the clocks have gone forward, and the flowers are starting to come out, and this is like the time when people would be normally coming out of their houses after hibernating in winter for so many months, and we're chomping at the bit, to really go out and experience what it is to be a human being on the planet. But those are my thoughts, and I just want to really just let you know that I'm thinking of everyone who listens to the podcast and gets anything from it. And I do want you to know that if you feel that you need to speak to somebody and, reach out and just have someone hear where your mind is on how you can move through this period in time, I'm really feeling drawn to be able to speak on that for you, and just drop me a line. My podcast is this. So you can find me on my Facebook, is carolmaewhittick.com. Instagram is at Casmic, that's CAZMICK. And you can also go to my website or drop me an email, which is info@carolmaewhittick.com. But just know that there is so much that we can do and use this time for. And it's a time, I believe, for healing. It's a time for reflection. It's a time for us to be kind to one another and patient as people process what they're feeling or what is arising for them in each ways. I pray that everybody is safe in their homes, and I understand that home is not always a safe place for everybody. And I hope that if that is the case, that you're finding some sort of assistance there, that you feel that you're able to reach out and find somewhere that is safe for you. Because for most of us, we can go into a space that is safe. Few of us actually, home doesn't represent that, and I appreciate that is a reality for a few people, and I pray that something can be organized for you. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it for now. I've got so many things to say and I don't want to make it too long, but I just want to say thank you for tuning in. I hope that there was something of value. Please don't forget there's that free meditation for you to listen to on my website, carolmaewhittick.com, or you can find it on YouTube under my channel. And wishing you all the best and stay safe.